through of exercise 10.1. You may want to print out the notes that go with it. Just might make it a little bit easier to follow along because I'm not going to rewrite the whole thing. When you run into these problems, you know that you're going to have to figure out the total interest on the note because the note gets repaid eventually. You also know that you're going to have to accrue some of that interest because we cross the year end. So at 12/31, we're going to have to say, well, how much interest have we accrued so far? How much interest expense? So the easy way to do these is to really just get all the information ahead of time. So start with the first national note. So we take the first national note, and let's see, what's the total interest on that going to be? So the total interest is going to be the principal times the rate times the time. So we would go 50,000 times our 8% times 9/12 because it's a 9-month note, okay? And that would give us the total interest on that note of $3,000. But we know it's a 9-month note, it was taken out in July, so at 12/31 we're going to have to accrue some of the interest. So we want to figure out how much interest from the first year, from July 1st to December 31st. And so to do that, we would go 50,000 times 8% times, and here I get out my handy calculator, July, August, September, October, November, December, 6, okay, times 6/12, okay. And that would give us the amount that we're going to accrue, which would be $2,000. Okay. And then the interest that we would be paying the following year, from January 1 until the note is due, which would be, let's see, on April 1st. So it would be through March, to be a little consistent here, through March 31st. And so that would be January, February, March. That would be the other 3 months of the note. So we would go 50,000 times 8% times 3/12. And that would give us the 1,000. So when we go to do the journal entry for that, we've got all the information we need. So we can say, oh, okay, on 7/15, we borrowed some money from the First National Bank. And so we know we got some cash, and we had a note payable to, First National for $50,000. Then, at year end, we have to say, well, how much interest is built up on that, even though we're not going to pay it until we pay off the whole note in April. So we're going to book interest expense that goes on our income statement for the current year. And we're going to book interest payable, and it will be payable when we pay off the entire note. Okay, so that would be, we've got our interest expense at year end, which would be the $2,000, and our interest payable would be $2,000. Okay, then we come over to the new year in April when we pay off the whole note. We know that we would pay off the entire note payable to First National for the $50,000. We know that we have to pay off the interest payable that we accrued in December, so interest payable, I'm having to abbreviate here a little bit, would be the $2,000. And then we're going to book the interest expense for January, February, and March. I'm sorry. In class they say, yeah, that's the 2,000. Yeah, okay, and this is the 1,000. Okay, and then we would pay, write out a check for the full 53,000. So what you your procedure is, you figure out the total interest on the entire note. That's the 3,000. And you can also sort of get in your mind, not the the proceeds would be if you're going to get it. But, you know, the total amount that you repay, the total amount that you will repay will be the 50,000 principal plus the 3,000 interest. Okay, so that's the 53. And then you work out, well, how much of it is it for, you know, the current year, and that we figured that out, and how much for the year that it's paid off, and then you start making your journal entries. Okay, and I think you can follow the same pattern for the Lion Bank note. And if you have questions on it, you can email me. Okay.